Hello and welcome to Quiz Class. I'm your host, Ellen, and today we have 100 questions on nostalgia. Let's take a look at our Quiz Class awards. You can let us know how you rank in the comments at the end, along with the answer to the bonus question. So let's begin. What was the black market item for children during World War II? Lollipops, gobsters, or bubblegum? Bubblegum. Which baseball team wore batting helmets for the first time in 1941? The New York Yankees, New York Mets, or the Brooklyn Dodgers? The Brooklyn Dodgers. What material shortage in the 1940s led to the development of the bikini? Cotton, linen, or wool? Wool. What were Cheerios renamed from in 1945? Cherry Oats, Cheeriots, or Cheery Oats? Cheeriots. What percentage of Disney's World War II era work was commissioned by the US military? Over 50%, over 70%, or over 90%? Over 90%. Why did Sidney Howard's widow disguise herself as a man at the 1940 Academy Awards? To accept an Oscar on his behalf, to protest guest restrictions, or to promote equity in attendees? To accept an Oscar on his behalf. What device created by Bell System in 1946 was a large radio-operated car phone? The first mobile phone, the first walkie-talkie, or the first mobile intercom? The first mobile phone. Which Ayn Rand novel was published in 1943? The Fountainhead, the Beachhead, or the Streamhead? The Fountainhead. What type of imagery was widely popular in the 40s? Matinee girls, golden age girls, or pin-up girls? Pin-up girls. What secret military research did the US government begin in the late 40s? Wide-scale surveillance, mind control experiments, or interstellar communications? Mind control experiments. What percentage of America's vegetables were grown in victory gardens during World War II? 20%, 40%, or 60%? 40%. What animal did the British Army stockpile during World War II? Rabbits, chickens, or pigs? Chickens. What drug was reportedly given to Adolf Hitler in daily doses? Heroin, cocaine, or ecstasy? Cocaine. Which legal television show premiered in 1940? 1948? Court of Public Opinion, Court of Current Issues, or Court of Home Law? Court of Current Issues. What speech did Winston Churchill give in 1946 at Westminster College? Tendrils of Chance, Sinews of Peace, or Jaws of Life? Sinews of Peace. Which U.S. state was most affected by the Armistice Day blizzard of 1940? Illinois, Iowa, or Indiana? Iowa. Why was the Pentagon designed with 5 sides in the 1940s? To be confusing from the air, to be bomb-proof, or to be hard to duplicate? To be bomb-proof. Which Olympic Games in the 40s had no new buildings constructed? London, 1948, Helsinki, 1940, or Madrid, 1944? London, 1948. What type of watches caused radiation poisoning for workers in the 1940s? Long battery, military, or glow-in-the-dark? Glow-in-the-dark. Why did some post-World War II cities continue blackout drills for years after the war ended? Employment drive, misinformation about the end of World War II, or fear of future attacks? Fear of future attacks. In which U.S. state was the 1950s toy brand Heartland Plastics based? Wisconsin, Minnesota, or Georgia? Wisconsin. What product first featured Velcro in the late 1950s? Shoes, jackets, or pants? Shoes. Who did Elvis Presley record My Happiness for in 1953? His best friend, his mother, or his manager? His mother. Why did Rocky Road ice cream regain popularity in the 1950s? It contained candy, it was good for drive-ins, or it was a Depression-era novelty? It was a Depression-era novelty. What inspired the creation of the first Diners Club credit card in the 1950s? A black tie event, a forgotten wallet, or an all-inclusive resort? A forgotten wallet. What sci-fi film released in 1951 sparked a surge in robot toys? Them, The Day the Earth Stood Still, or Forbidden Planet? The Day the Earth Stood Still. What event in 1957 led to the U.S. to overhaul its math and science education? The Roswell Crisis, the Bikini Atoll Crisis, or the Sputnik Crisis? The Sputnik Crisis. Which publication outsold the Bible in the U.S. in 1953? The New Yorker, Time, or TV Guide? TV guide. What wasn't a factor in Disneyland's 1955 opening being considered a disaster? Food shortages, child riots, or gas leaks? Child riots. What term for famous musicians did not yet exist in the 1950s? Heartthrob, dreamboat, or rock star? Rock star. What candy did soldiers use to plug holes during the Korean War? Tootsie Rolls, Jolly Ranchers, or Twizzlers? Tootsie Rolls. Why were hula hoops banned in Japan in the 1950s? Cost, indecency, or danger? Indecency. What played at the end of U.S. television broadcasts in the 1950s? The Pledge of Allegiance, the Lord's Prayer, or the National Anthem? The National Anthem. Which car manufacturer introduced an in-car record player in 1956? Ford, Chrysler, or Jeep? Chrysler. What ice cream treat became popular at soda fountains in the 1950s? Hot fudge sundae, banana split, or root beer floats? Root beer floats. What was bubble wrap originally intended to be in the 1950s? Bedding, wallpaper, or farming? Wallpaper. Which character was the first Disneyland mascot in 1955? Winnie the Pooh, Donald Duck, or Tinker Bell? Tinker Bell. What did the world's first ATM dispense in 1967 instead of cash? $1 bills, coins, or preloaded paper slips? Preloaded paper slips. Who was Coca-Cola's first diet drink, Tab, introduced in 1959, marketed to? Diabetics, athletes, or doctors? Diabetics. We are on question 40. What was missing from McDonald's original menu in the 1950s? Drinks, desserts, or burgers? Burgers. What inspired the Batman utility belt design in the 1966 television series? World War II pilot jackets, Captain America's shield, or Cold War spy gadgets? Cold War spy gadgets. Why were men's suits extra roomy in the early 50s? World War II era fabric rationing, expectation for theft, or parachutist inspiration? World War II era fabric rationing. Which band proposed a Lord of the Rings movie concept in the 1960s that J.R.R. Tolkien rejected? The Rolling Stones, The Who, or The Beatles? The Beatles. Why did cereal box prizes decline by the late 1960s? Plastic concerns, recession, or choking hazards? Choking hazards. What inspired the psychedelic colors used in 1960s album covers? LSD trial artwork, new film camera functions, or infrared Vietnam War photography? Infrared Vietnam War photography. Who knitted all of Mr. Rogers' television show sweaters starting in the 1960s? His mother, his wife, or his producer? His mother. Why did NASA prepare a speech for President Nixon in 1969? In case the moon landing failed, in case aliens were there, or in case the USSR were there? In case the moon landing failed. Which 1962 novel by Shirley Jackson is a Gothic horror classic? We Have Always Survived in the Park, We Have Always Lived in the Castle, or We Have Always Stayed in the Hills? We Have Always Lived in the Castle. Why was bubblegum pop music created in the 60s? To include younger songwriters, to increase movie inclusion, or to target teenage listeners? To target teenage listeners. What animal was considered for a gadget assistant in the first James Bond filmed in 1962? Dog, turtle, or chimpanzee? Chimpanzee. Which U.S. national park was protected by legislation in 1968? Yosemite, Redwood, or Zion National Park? Redwood National Park. Where was John F. Kennedy's original casket buried in the 1960s? At sea, at Rock Creek Park, or at Arlington National Cemetery? At sea. Which classic children's novel written by Norton Juster was published in 1961? The Roaring Windmill, The Dark Horse, or The Phantom Tollbooth? The Phantom Tollbooth. What was the first home video game console, Magnavox Odyssey, released in 1967, also known as the brown box, the gray box, or the shadow box? The brown box. Which 1963 speech did Lyndon B. Johnson give before Congress? Let us begin, let us proceed, or let us continue? Let us continue. What fire has been burning underground in Pennsylvania since 1962? Magnolia coal mine fire, the Gallifolia coal mine fire, or Centralia coal mine fire? Centralia coal mine fire. Which performing arts complex was completed in Los Angeles in 1967? Ahmanson Theater, Los Angeles Music Center, or the Walt Disney Concert Hall? Los Angeles Music Center. Which major sports event first allowed women to participate in 1967? The Boston Marathon, the Chicago Marathon, or the New York Marathon? The Boston Marathon. Which IBM program became the first computer to defeat a human in chess in 1967? Mac-Wac 6, Mac-Nac 6, or Mac-Hack 6? Mac-Hack 6. We are at question 60. Where was the beep test endurance fitness assessment developed during the 1970s? The UK, Australia, or Canada? Canada. Which Barbie doll character was introduced in 1963? Bridge, Midge, or Ridge? Midge. What feature did some tight-fitting jeans in the 1970s require for wearability? Velcro, hook and eye, or side zippers? Side zippers. Which world leader's portrait was featured in Andy Warhol's 1970s artwork? Benito Mussolini, Ho Chi Minh, or Mao Zedong? Mao Zedong. Why did some U.S. states require margarine to be sold white in the 1970s? Food poisoning concerns, minimize appeal compared to butter, or food dye shortages? To minimize appeal compared to butter. What communication device was feared to replace phones in the 1970s? Walkie-talkies, CB radios, or pigeons? CB radios. Which Star Wars character was almost played by a trained monkey in the 1970s? Yoda, Chewbacca, or R2-D2? Yoda. Why did 1970s Sony engineers believe people wouldn't buy the Walkman device? They wouldn't listen to music alone, they wouldn't feel safe with music playing, or they wouldn't wear headphones outside. They wouldn't wear headphones outside. Which two countries created a government-funded UFO hotline in the 1970s? US and Canada, Mexico and Canada, or US and Mexico? US and Canada. Which gaming console revived the video game industry after the 1983 crash? The Nintendo Entertainment System, the Sony Entertainment System, or Fuji Entertainment System? The Nintendo Entertainment System. What was the first ever email message sent in 1971? QWERTY. Which television special featured celebrities skating under disco lights in 1979? Rolling with the Stars, Disco Skate and Stars, or Roller Disco and the Stars? Roller disco and the stars. What Cold War era plan considered nuking the moon to intimidate the Soviet Union? Project A-119, B-118, or C-117? Project A-119. Which city had the world's largest McDonald's built in 1971? East Berlin, Budapest, or Moscow? Moscow. What space project did NASA cancel in the 1970s due to budget cuts? Dark Side of the Moon Station, asteroid belt mining, or human mission to Mars? Human mission to Mars. What measurement system did the US consider adopting in 1975 but later abandoned? The Indian system, Confucian system, or the metric system? The metric system. What term was first used in 1974 to describe early computer networks? Intranet, World Wide Web, or Internet? Internet. What secret US government project attempted to use psychics for military intelligence in the 1970s? Project Stargate, Project Star Wars, or Project Star Trek? Project Stargate. What did some cities ban in the 1970s because they were considered a public nuisance? Drive-in theaters, music venues, or skateboards? Skateboards. Which pizza snack was launched in 1968 and pulled from the market in 1975? Pizza spins, pizza wheels, or pizza parachutes? Pizza spins. Which South American food product contained traces of cocaine until the 1970s? Chewing gum, hot sauce, or instant coffee? Chewing gum. Question 81. What fear led some schools to ban arcade games in the 1980s? That they would contradict classes, that they would start riots, or that they would rot brains? That they would rot brains. Which 1979 campaign featured missing children? The Yellow Pages, telegraph poles, or milk cartons? Milk cartons. What word would you dial in California in the 1980s for the time? Pop star, popcorn, or Pop-Tart? Popcorn. Where was David Hasselhoff's song Looking for Freedom a #1 hit in 1989? The Netherlands, Germany, or Austria? Germany. What fast food slogan from 1984 was later used in a presidential debate? Where's the fire? Where's the hope? Or where's the beef? Where's the beef? What format war did VHS win in the 1980s? VHS versus records, VHS versus Nintendo, or VHS versus Betamax? VHS versus Betamax. Which airport became the center of a 1980s refugee living case? Leonardo da Vinci International Airport, the Madrid Airport, or the Charles de Gaulle Airport? The Charles de Gaulle Airport. Which discovery in 1985 led to Pluto's reclassification debate? Its rings, its atmosphere, or its moon? Its moon. Which 1989 novel by Ken Follett became a historical bestseller? The Ends of the Earth, The Peoples of the Earth, or The Pillars of the Earth? The Pillars of the Earth. Which European embassy in Guatemala was invaded and set on fire in 1980? Portugal, Spain, or France? Spain. What early internet slang term was first recorded in 1989? ROFL, LMAO, or LOL? LOL. Which climate concern was more widely feared in the early 1980s? Global cooling, global fires, or global tremors? Global cooling. Which accident during a Pepsi commercial severely burned Michael Jackson's scalp in 1984? When his hair caught fire, when his clothes caught fire, or when his chair caught fire? When his hair caught fire. What chess program created in the 1980s was victorious over Garry Kasparov? Deep blue, deep red, or deep yellow? Deep blue. What phrase was not part of Ronald Reagan's 1987 Brandenburg Gate address? Open this gate, unite the country, or tear down this wall? Unite the country. Which 1986 building became one of the first green skyscrapers? Commonwealth Tower, Commonwealth Tower, or Commerzbank Tower? Commerzbank Tower. Which 1980s fashion trend changed color based on body heat? Shoulder pads, hypercolor shirts, or neon leggings? Hypercolor shirts. Which major wrestling event was nearly canceled in 1985 but became a massive success? WrestleMania 1, Wrestle Summit 1, or WrestleCore 1? WrestleMania 1. Which covert rescue mission in 1980 saw U.S. diplomats pose as Canadians to escape Iran? The Canadian Cover, the Canadian Caterer, or the Canadian Caper? The Canadian Caper. Where did the medical breakthrough of the first test tube twins happen in 1981? the Republic of Ireland, Scotland, or Australia? Australia. And for our bonus question, what is the 1960s crime caper film? Ocean's what? Let us know the answer in the comments, as well as how you did with our Quiz Class Einstein rewards. And if you enjoyed playing our quiz, hit that like button and subscribe to see our next one. Bye-bye.